Monday. Happy Monday. I am so excited to be chatting with you all. Strategy with Sara is back where we talk all things strategy. So the premise for this show when I started it, when I started it months ago, was that I wanted a space where we could literally chat about all things strategy. Because that's what I like to do. And I like to make it accessible and I like to connect with you all on so many different platforms. Really quick, if you're here, and hi, Dr. Sean and Marvin, and so many people who are joining me today, I want to let you know that I'm also doing a Zoom like this on Friday, all on holiday content, marketing strategy for the holidays, for the end of the year. I've definitely seen with my clients where you can move the needle at this time of year. The year's not over. So if you're interested in joining that Zoom on Friday, just drop a comment on any platform and I'll send you the link. So the topic that I wanted to dive into today is actually who you approach with strategic questions and for advice. Because one of the things that's so interesting that I hear from entrepreneurs and business owners all the time is that they're frustrated actually with the people who they turn to for advice, right? They turn to a yes person who, like, every idea that they run by them, they're just like, yeah, it's amazing. Go for that. Try that. And then it doesn't work. And they realize later it's because they were in an echo chamber. Yeah, Dr. Sean, come to my training on Friday. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. We're going to have lunch together on Zoom. Y'all bring your lunch. I'll bring some strategy. It'll be a lot of fun. So the first person who you do not want to go to for strategic advice is a yes person. Anyone who tells you that every idea that you have is amazing and brilliant and bound to succeed, that person is great for a confidence boost. That person is great if you're having a bad day. That person is great if you just need someone to kind of energetically keep you going. That is not the person to go to for strategic advice. So you don't want to go to someone who's just a yes person. The next person who you do not want to go to for strategic advice is a no person. That's the person who tells you that all of your ideas suck. They're all terrible. They're all awful. Like, you should really just stop being a business owner and go back to working a 9 to 5 because you're never going to change the world. You're too ambitious. Your little business isn't ever going to achieve what you think it's going to achieve. So yes, people, I mean, they're not helpful, but at least they make you feel good. No, people, I'm not a yes person. That's true, Dr. Sean. I'm like streaming on all platforms, so I'm trying to like read the comments from all of them at the same time. So I do give real perspective. Thank you. So you don't want a yes person who's just not actually going to be helpful. And you don't want a no person who's just going to tell you you can never achieve your dreams. Why are you even trying? Because you get the same result, but it feels worse. And the other thing is that it's not going to help you if you go for strategic advice to someone who just isn't positioned to give you advice. And candidly, it takes a little bit of self-awareness when someone comes to you with a strategic question. Hey, what do you think about this? What if I do this in my business? What if I try that? And I'm going to give you guys a real example of this in a minute. But it takes real self-awareness for the person on the other side of the phone or the voice memo or the email to say, I don't even know if I'm the person to answer this for you. I've never done this. I've never seen this. Maybe you want to talk to someone who's done this. Maybe you want to talk to someone who's done that. So the 3 people who you do not want to go to when you need strategic advice for your business are yes people, no people, and people who have no capacity to answer your question, but think that they have all the answers. So the good news is, now we get to the time where we can talk about who you can go to for strategic advice. So I'll be candid. I've actually been reaching out for a lot of strategic advice. Most of you know, if you're here, that so I started my business 5 years ago. Actually just had my 5-year anniversary, which is really fun, and something I'm really proud of. But in there was about a year where I totally backburnered my business. I did no lead gen. I kept like 1 or 2 clients who I just could not let go of, but I wasn't out there building my business. I was building a social audio media company. So since I came back to my business in February, it's been sort of this reinvention. It's been this momentum building. It's been building from the ground up again. And so as a strategist, that's what I do. I'm constantly looking at other people's businesses and saying, how can I help these visionaries reach their goals? How can we break through the walls? How can we take what isn't working, identify what the problem is, strategize, fix it? And so the thing is, I know how valuable it is to go to people who can advise you. So I'm going to tell you who I've been reaching out to for strategic advice. So for a perfect example, um, I'm so grateful for everyone who's joining, by the way. Thank you for joining all the live cast on all of these different channels. And just a reminder to anyone who's here, I am doing a Zoom on Friday. Drop a comment if you want the link. I would love to have you there. So one of the things that I've been thinking about is that my main offering right now is a custom high ticket one-to-one offering. So a really successful business owner brings me in to look at the whole board and help them strategize so that they can break through to the next level of success. They can hit their goals. Generally, it's someone who is a thought leader in their industry, but they're not as well known as they want to be, as they should be. It seems like someone else in the industry has the megaphone and they want to know how they can get the megaphone, how they can get seen so that they can capture that audience. Hey, trust. So that they can capture that audience, convert that audience, and reach whatever that bigger mission is. I absolutely will send you a link. Dr. Sean, you gotta, I don't know if these comments will save, but I would love all these testimonials. Thank you. Um, so anyway, I've been building out these like custom high ticket strategies for clients who want me to come in and really kind of work very collaboratively in consulting with their marketing teams, with their C-suite as we build out kind of the pathway for them to succeed. But as we all know, the thing about one-to-one, even though I love it, it's really such like an intimate way to interface with a business that there's only so many people who you can work with in that capacity. And it's also very expensive. So I've been kind of sitting back and thinking like, how am I going to work in a one-to-many model? How can I build that into my business? And that's always something that you should be thinking about. Actually, my good friend, Kim Walsh Phillips. Hey, Brian, welcome. Hey, Danielle. My good friend Kim Walsh Phillips always talks about this idea of going from one-to-one to one-to-many and how it moves the needle in your business. So I've been thinking about that. And I listed out at the beginning of this session kind of like the worst people to go to for strategic advice. But as a strategist, I want to tell you now who the best people to go to for strategic advice are, because that's who I've been reaching out to. So the first like bucket or category of people who can give you incredible strategic advice are people who've been there, right? When they say like there's no substitute for experience, when there's someone who can say, I've seen this, I've been a part of this, this is what it looked like in my business, this is what it looked like for me. I've built this successfully. That's a great base of people to talk to and get the inside scoop on how they did it. Even if it's not necessarily going to make sense for you to replicate their path, they can tell you, oh, these are the things that I wish I'd considered. These are the things that, maybe I could have thought about differently. These are the things that really worked for me. It's almost like you are gathering all of the knowledge that they had to learn the hard way, they're willing to share with you. So a great group of people for strategic advice are people who've been there. But as I said, I don't think that do as I do works for everyone. So that's one base of people. A second base of people who you want to talk to when you're like thinking about launching or doing something new in your business are going to be your ideal customer. Like, don't overlook this. So like, I literally reached out to a few different people who I thought fit into the category of whatever I would do, whether it's group coaching, whether it's a course, whether it's a one-day event, but kind of this lower ticket, immediate results offering that I was thinking about. I reached out to them and said basically like, hey, do you think a business owner such as yourself would be interested in this? This is what I'm thinking about offering. This is what I'm thinking about the price point. This is how I'm thinking about chatting about it. And again, like in full transparency, they troubleshooted the heck out of it for me because I don't go to yes people, right? So they were like, like we think what you do is amazing, but here are all of the things that I would have questions about. And here are all the things that I'm not sure about. And like, these are my thoughts on the price point and this and that and so on and so forth. So like literally the exact kinds of people who I would be reaching out to, who I would be pitching, like my exact avatar told me what all of their objections would be. And as anyone who writes any kind of sales copy knows, when you know the objections up front, you can address them, right? So going back to your strategy, you can either address what the offering is itself, or you can address how you're marketing it, right? So As far as the people who you want to reach out to, you want to reach out to people who've been there. You want to reach out to people who are your ideal customer. Another group of people who I find are really great to reach out to are good listeners. And maybe so for me, I like to talk things out. And I find that like I have a few different categories of friends. Some of them like have an idea for everything. I'm like that. I'm an ideas person, but some of them just listen and they listen so well that I can talk through my own thought process even better if that person who's a really good listener also asks you really great questions. So like every time that you kind of, get stuck on, well, how actually would I phrase this? How actually would I go about this? How actually would I do this? Um, Literally, right? If you have someone who's saying to you, and then what would you do? Well, then the conversation's not over. It's going to push you in your thinking a little bit further. So that's a really great person to reach out to for strategic advice if you have strategic questions. So again, we have people who've been there, people who are your ideal customer, people who are great listeners and ask great questions. And then the next group of people who I've personally reached out to for strategic advice as well over the past, period of time where I've been building this out are people who are just at the top of their game. And you might be like, doesn't this fall into the people who've been there category? Sort of. But to me, it doesn't matter what discipline you're in. Like, if you're the best at what you do, I've had the opportunity to have phone calls, like in the very recent past, as I've been developing this out with someone who's like a top brander in the world, someone who's a top sales coach in the world, right? Donna, I love this so much. We have official CLOs, chief listening officers at Advantage Consulting. That's amazing. So Donna on LinkedIn just said that they have chief listening officers. Back to the point that I just made, it is so important to have people who can really listen. It does make a difference. I've never heard of that, but I absolutely love that. That sounds really powerful. So as I was saying, I think sometimes we are afraid to show people who are the best at what they do, who take our calls, that we don't have all the answers, right? Sometimes we can kind of get in our own way by feeling like, oh, well, like this person and I have cross collaborated. This person has referred people to me. And if I go to this person who's like the best brander in the world or the best sales coach in the world, and I'm like, I don't really know how I want to package my offering. Like, are they going to want to collaborate with me again? And the answer is actually, they're probably going to be more prone to collaborate with you again, because going back to what I said earlier on, they know that you're a self-aware enough person that when you tell them, I really think this is the pathway, I really know what we're doing, they know that you mean that. And they also know that when you're like, I'm stuck, I'm not sure how to package this, I'm not sure the right way to go about it, I can identify, good morning, Daniela. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Everyone who's here, I'm so grateful for everyone who's in the room across all platforms. It's so good to see all of you. But what I was saying, because I've been kind of running this whole session on the worst people to approach with strategic questions, and then conversely, the best people to approach with strategic questions. When you go to people who are the best at what they do and you say like, that's why I'm here, because I'm open for advice, because I want your advice, because I want to hear from you. And then it's your turn to listen to the feedback they have to give you. I mean, I'll tell you, before this live this morning, a really brilliant friend of mine, I just took notes for like an hour as he was like, this is the list of things that I would consider. And I don't think that he's any less likely to collaborate with me because I told him like, the way that I'm like conceptualizing this is not landing. Like, that actually makes our friendship stronger. It builds trust. And he gave me really, really, really good advice. So again, as I mentioned at the top of this call, because I see we keep having people kind of cycling through and coming in and out of the room, I'm doing a free Zoom training this Friday on holiday content and marketing strategy. And I would love for you to join on absolutely any platform. If you drop a comment, just or DM me the word Zoom, drop the word Zoom. I will drop the link so that you can join me on Friday, October 28th, noon Eastern. I would love to see you there. We're going to start doing this weekly again because I just love the opportunity to chat about all things strategy, all things marketing, help business owners get visible and move the needle and achieve those next big goals. So I will say for a moment, I know I've just kind of been speaking, but if anyone has questions on any platforms, if you drop them on the comments, I will see them. And I'm happy to answer any questions before I go. And if I don't see them, then you should join me on Zoom on Friday for this live training, because then I know, because I'll be looking right at you. I'll be able to see if you raise your hands, if you have a comment, if there are any questions that I can answer. But I think with that, I'm just going to thank you all so much for joining me this morning. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to save this across all of my social platforms, and I will see you all next Monday for next Strategy with Sara. Thanks so much. Bye.